Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and we've come to the end of our Earthrise month, so we're going to take a look at the last one available so far, Grapple. And of course, as is tradition on this channel, we will be comparing him to his Generation 1 original. The G1 version of Grapple was function as an architect, basically a building designer. So he would design more of defensive fortifications for the Autobots to use, as apparently he was more well known on Cybertron for very elaborate and beautifully designed buildings until they became product casualties of war. Of course, the G1 version would also be repainted and slightly modified for Inferno. So far, we have not received any word yet, though, of if this Grapple will be remade into Inferno. A lot of the fans have been clamoring for that, and also for some of the other toys that were made in that same mold. So hopefully we'll find out something in the coming weeks, but as of the recording of this video, no, there is no plans for Inferno. But then again, the coronavirus may have put some of the plans for Earthrise on hold. As for now, here, next month, July, is when we're supposed to be getting a large wave of the next round of toys. Of course, for July, we're going to return back and review some G1 guys, including at least one or two that are coming up that I haven't reviewed the G1s yet, so kind of high time we get back on some of them. But at any rate, Grapple here in the G1 era came with a few different weapons. He also had interchangeable fists that could you'd have his fist in the socket to hold his gun, or you could hold a missile. I kind of went here with one of each, simply because I could. And that also helped show off that they did carry that over somewhat here with the new Grapple. But of course, it's easier to do on this version as the arm socket rotates into the fist. So it allows you to mount the little gray missile tip on there, or as an added bonus, new Grapple includes a grabber claw, which can be put in there instead as well. So you do have some options with the new Grapple. Anyway, looking at old Grapple again, this one really didn't have a whole lot of articulation. Like many of his counterparts, it was mostly centered in his arms. The arms could be shifted back and forth at the shoulder, and they could also rotate at the shoulder all the way around. As we demonstrated earlier with the hoist video, the launchers here are very weak and really didn't lock the accessories in, so slight motion like that would cause them to fall out. And you could bend Grapple's arms at the elbow about 90 degrees. You could move his feet if you wanted to, but you really couldn't get him to stand otherwise. Let's pick this up and reconnect it in here. Alright, for new Grapple, you can turn his head from side to side. It does not have any room in there to rock back and forth, so he doesn't have a ball-jointed head this time around. You can raise his arm up about so far due to the gray pegs here, Unlike on the G1 form, these are not removable or movable at all. And you can rotate his arm at the shoulder all the way. His arm can be bent at the elbow 90 degrees. And he does have the G.I. Joe battle grip by featuring a swivel in his bicep. Grapple can spread his legs apart at the waist to do a full splits. And he does have the ability to turn at his hip. There is a swivel also in his thigh. You can raise his leg at the hip just slightly over 90 degrees, and you can bend his leg at the knee about 90 degrees. So, Grapple does have quite a range of motion. Now, of course, if you end up buying this toy loose, things you'll want to keep an eye out for, of course, is this gray tipped weapon. This is probably meant to be a precision welder or something, as we don't get a listing in the instructions as to what it is. It's meant to pay homage to the long-nosed missiles that the Generation 1 version had. As you can see, it does bear some resemblance to the tip of the missile. So, a nice little homage to that. And, of course, we also have this grabber claw. It basically has 4 arms on it, and dead center in the middle, it does have a small groove in it that allows it to connect to ramp pieces. So you can connect him to Sound Barrier, or Optimus Prime, or Ironworks, and try to act like he's placing the part with this. And then lastly, the last accessory for Earthrise Grapple, will be his gun. In the G1 form, it was known as an arc welder rifle. We don't know if it carries the same meaning in the new one. And it does bear some slight resemblance to the original. Let's steal the original here for a brief comparison. That's the original, and that's the new one. As you can see, it retains some of the design elements of the original. So, it is nicely done. Alright, let's get Grapple here into his crane mode and take a look at that. Here we are with both of them in their crane modes. And the new one does try its best to look a little different from the original. The original Grapple was done to look like a Mitsubishi F-Series Fuso class flatbed truck that was modified to be a construction crane. And it is a decent enough toy in its own right. You know, it did pretty good job capturing the likeness of a heavy-duty construction crane. Even having the stabilizers. Unfortunately, they don't move. But we did get a crane that would raise up. You could move the crane 180 degrees. You did have this stopper unit that you could bring out to position the crane. And even better, the crane extended outward. And as you can see here, extends out pretty far. And you had a swiveling hook with it. New Grapple, unfortunately, this is as far out as the crane goes. So it's considerably shorter, so that's a disappointment. But the crane is built on an independent turret here on the back, so we can rotate it back pretty much the same 180 degrees, but the section that it's on rotates independently. So, if we can get it back into position here, as you can see, it rotates 360 degrees, something the original one does not do. So, while we lose out on a little bit of play value here on how far we can extend the crane, we gain some extra play value in the fact that the crane can be swung around more. That's a nice improvement. Of course, Grapple can store all of his weapons. His gun can be mounted here on the side, because it's got a post, so it can go on either side. There's a slot built into the side of the crane here for the missile to connect to. It's only on that side, so you can only connect it there. And while the claw can be stored here, the instructions also show that there's a similar hole here on the end of the crane hook that was featured in his hands. All you do is fold the hook inward like so, and then you can attach the claw onto the end of it there, and then use it to pretend setting in ramp pieces onto another toy. So it does bring its own play value to it. Now, of course, the big question we all want to know is how well does he roll on the modern wheels? Rolls fair, to say the least. He doesn't exactly have a lot of clearance on the ground. Let's see if adjusting that did any better. Yeah, that did better. So definitely when you're transforming him, you definitely want to make sure everything's locked into place so you have enough ground clearance to roll. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Grapple? Well, in ways, Grapple goes both ways on this. The robot mode's pretty good all the way around and a nice homage to the original. I'm not exactly a fan of the orange-colored head on him, though, but I can live with it, to say the least. And, of course, modern articulation is always a nice feature on it. And I do like the fact that we do have some options with the way his arms are. The extra accessories plug in very nicely on this toy. The crane mode, that's where we really get the mixed nuts on it, folks. The G1 version is nicer in the fact that the crane can stretch out further. I think the new one could have benefited from going out just a little bit further away from the front of the toy. It just seems kind of ridiculous that that's as far as it goes and that's it. But we do gain the improvement in the fact that we can at least rotate the crane this time around. So we do get that as an added improvement. Plus, also, we get the option of, do you want to go with the hook, or do you want to go with the claw? So that does increase some of the play value on this new one, and for adult collectors, that increases our display options. So, in a lot of ways, the new one does slightly edge out the original, but only slightly. The original has its good points as well, but the new one, it fails in some spots, but it more than makes up for it with some of the other things we do get. And that concludes my review of the Earthrise version of Grapple. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked this video, drop me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button so you can join our ranks, and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I post new content. Also, share this video with your friends and fellow collectors. That helps this channel grow. And share your thoughts about Grapple in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying that while we're waiting to gather some more Earthrise toys, next month we're going to go back and take a look at some G1 toys, as I've been sadly neglecting them this year, so time to get back on the job. So, I'll catch you all later.